Welcome to the Listening Well, the space where every story matters. I'm Shania, your host and therapist, here to share real conversations and anonymous letters from listeners who are ready to speak their truth or just share something that they want to tell. Some stories are spoken, some are written, all are worth hearing. Let's listen in. One, sorry to pop in to the recording as I had to do on our previous episode. But unfortunately, we have had another issue where the audio and the video is not lining up. So I'm not sure if it is the recording studio that I use or if it's my internet, the computer, whatever it may be, but something is not working and I've got to figure it out. So I hope that everyone can bear with me. This is another episode where I highly recommend for you to tune in to Spotify audio or our other platforms where it's just audio so that you don't have to watch me have my voice sound like is doing something and my face is doing something else. But either way, thank you for tuning in today's episode and I hope that you enjoy. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode and another story. We are here with a new guest today, Tanya. And Tanya, I would love for you to share a bit about yourself and also what drew you to come on to the pod today.
Thank you, Shania. Thanks for having me. I am an introvert. I'm a quiet, so why am I here talking on a podcast? Years ago, I went with my husband. He was new at the company, and the manager had a work party at his house. And so I went with my husband to this work party. And we walk in the door, and my husband is he's known as the new guy. So he's engulfed in conversations right away.
Mm-hmm.
No one knows me. No one comes up to talk to me. So I go to the buffet table and I get a Diet Coke and my plate of food and I walk to a group of people and none of them even glances my way. I can't burst into this conversation. Has this ever happened to you? Have you ever walked in and nobody knows you and nobody cares that you're there?
Yes. So like previously before being a therapist, I worked for a nonprofit and like part of my role was kind of like getting out into the community, like helping people know who we were. So I've been to many of networking, even though like we're all kind of there for the same thing. Like there's a lot of that like imposter syndrome of like, I don't know all of these people. All of these people know each other. Hell, it's always really obvious. And it's like, well, how do I make these connections? Like, what do I
Exactly. Yes. And so what I did when it was clear that no one cared that I was there, I went to the guest bathroom and I stayed there. And there in the guest bathroom, I eat my food and drink my Diet Coke, and then I wipe down the bathroom cabinet countertop and I read every ingredient in the hand lotion bottle. And, by that time, Shania, I can't stay in here all night. So when I finally get up the courage to go out in that unfriendly crowd, I see somebody and she is new and she's just like me,
Okay.
ignored. And so I rush over to her and we cling to each other like we're in a lifeboat. I actually enjoy having a conversation with her for the rest of the night. But, after that was like the end, the last time. Just because I'm quiet doesn't mean I don't have anything to say.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I'm more reserved doesn't mean I can't contribute. So after that, I started to go on a journey. I had to figure out how is it that I can speak up? How can I let my voice be heard? I'm not trying to change into an extrovert because that's not me. When it's important, I do need to be heard. And so I came and developed 3 secrets of how to speak up, even for introverts. And so that's what I do now. That's my career. I have courses,
Okay.
I'm a coach, I go to conferences and I speak.
Wow.
And yes, that's how I'm trying to help other people so they're not like me, stuck in the guest bathroom.
Well, I can't wait to get into those like those 3 approaches, those 3 skills. But I would love to hear just a little bit of background. So when you say you're an introvert, like what does that mean to you? What does that feel like, look like? Like how does someone who's an introvert maybe show up in the world?
So there's two kind of ways to look at it. An extrovert thrives with lots of people around, with noise and music and conversation and, the dog's barking. That's thriving for an extrovert. But for an introvert, that is too stressful. That is too anxiety producing. That's too much. An introvert prefers a one-on-one conversation like what we're doing here, Shania.
Yes, yes, yes.
And then the other thing is, so that's with our energy. That's how we get our energy. And then the other aspect is introverts often think before they speak. And they'll think, and you'll be in a meeting and somebody says something, and the introvert is all, oh, I know what I should say. I should say this. And they're composing it in their mind and taking all this time to compose what they're going to say. And the conversation has moved on.
Yeah,
So
I've
part of
experienced that.
exactly. So part of what I do is teach introverts how to commit to something and then how to interject even if the conversation has gone on. And whereas extroverts, they, instead of thinking it through, they verbalize it through. They like the conversation, bouncing ideas off of each other, the
Mhm.
brainstorming. That's how they work. And both are valid. Both are essential ways of being. It's just different.
And what did that journey look like for you? Like after you kind of came out the bathroom, found someone who looked like they also needed someone too and connected, and then decided, like, you know what, I'm no longer going to show up in these spaces feeling this way. It sounds like kind of taking your power back. Like, what did that journey look like to not go from introvert to extrovert, but to like show up in those environments differently?
I think awareness is a big part of it. Being aware that I look at things differently.
Mm.
So spontaneously answering unexpected questions is hard for an introvert. Gosh, I was at a networking event and a man said, well, what do you do? And I said, because I have the elevator pitch.
Hmm.
Through an audience participation presentation, I give introverts 3 secrets of how to speak up for personal growth and professional impact. And he said, what high school did you go to? Why do you want to know what high school I went to? Is there a cool
Yeah.
are you going to make fun of the name of my high school? And I was just caught in this cycle of self-doubt and confusion. Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah, kind of where you're, having a conversation and maybe you say something, and within that moment you kind of learn that maybe the person wasn't listening to you, or maybe there's a conversation that they want to have and maybe they're trying to get there, and you're just like, well, that has nothing to do with what I said, but okay, what now?
Exactly. There's a conversation they want to have. That's so observant. I like that, Shania. So what I teach my introverts, my coaching students to do is you can deflect. You can ask the question back at them. So, well, what high school did you go to? And then maybe we'll just talk about high schools. And that's what they wanted out of the conversation.
Yeah.
Or you can distract, and that is give a compliment and then follow up with a question.
Mm.
And then you can kind of be back on what they want to talk about or something that's flattering to them and give you a chance to figure out how to get your ideas heard. Or maybe it's okay just to have them be the talker. Sometimes that's just how things are, and it's okay.
What do you think are like some strategies in those scenarios where like an introvert may be using your three approaches here, the 3 secrets, and maybe they want to say something, but it feels like the talker is just kind of leading the conversation and they're like active listening and maybe using some of these tools. Like, how can someone start to have a little bit of like back and forth dialogue and allowing them to share a bit of themselves if that's something that they feel comfortable with or like eager to do?
Right, right. So after one of my conferences, a woman who was in the audience came up to me and she said, Tanya, there's a lady that I walk with. She's my walking partner. And when we go for a walk, she does all the talking and I don't ever get to talk. What should I do? And the first thing I asked her is, well, is that okay? Do you want to have that relationship with her where she just tells you things and you listen? And if not, then you just have to train. Since you walk together regularly, just each walk, at least once, interject. So when she says something and you have an idea of what to say, when she takes a breath, even if it's a long way past, say, "Oh, I wanted to talk about something that you mentioned a while back," and then say it before she has a chance. And then once you do that at least one time every time you go walking, she'll start to recognize that you're not just a blank wall to bounce ideas on. You actually
Yeah.
have something to contribute.
And is that something that you find that a lot of people like who are introverts like might struggle with, like knowing like how do I get my piece into the conversation without, potentially making someone feel like I don't want to hear what they have to say, or like maybe not holding space for them to say what they have to say, because it feels like there's a delicate balance in having a real and like good conversation.
Yes, there's some people who don't care what you have to say.
Hmm.
There's some people that want to be right all the time. And there's when you're with a new person, you have to, well, you don't have to. It's a good idea to treat them with some grace. Maybe give a little bit of the conversation time to understand what kind of person are they. Are they just a braggart, or are they just I don't care what you have to say type person? You just kind of have to decide if they're worth your time, quite
Yeah.
frankly. If you need to just move on to someone else, because there are people like that. And then the people who just don't understand, like the lady who walks with the other friend, she just
Hmm.
doesn't understand how to have a conversation and pass the conversation ball back and forth.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's well said. Like, kind of judging, is this something worth me, like, going through this process with this person to be able to get to a more balanced space? Or, like, is this someone where, like, I might not ever see you again? Or maybe it's so few times and, like, I can tolerate this for the moment and we'll be all right. And move on.
Exactly. And sometimes the other person is just as nervous as you are, and
Hmm.
they're rambling out of nervousness. So you can give them some grace and relieve them of that burden of holding the whole conversation themselves. It's kind of a game.
Can you share a little bit more about that? Like, that concept that having a conversation can potentially look like a game of sorts.
At my church, we had a work day, and we I was washing the windows with this team of people, and then they served us lunch. So we were sitting around a table. There were 7 of us, 8 of us around this table, and they were people I was familiar with, but only one was somebody that I had a friend relationship with.
Mhm.
She and it was just interesting watching how people who hadn't eaten together, hadn't spent conversation time together, how they were kind of jockeying for their position
Mhm.
in the group. You know, who is the one that's going to lead the conversation? Who's the one that's going to be the funny one? Who's the one that's going it was who's going to be the servant who takes care of everyone's plates? It's just kind of
Mhm.
interesting when you're now more aware. My friend and I just kind of, hmm, that's interesting. And we just enjoyed getting to know people and their quirks.
Do you have any like to someone who is an extrovert and maybe wants to do a better job of holding space, holding conversation with someone who would consider themselves to be an introvert? Like if they were to see like trying to have this conversation, but maybe it's hard to get to that back and forth balance, what can they do to make the space feel like safer and more comfortable for that person?
I am so grateful that you asked that question because most in I mean, office space is all for extroverts.
Oh yes.
And extroverts just think that that's how everyone should be. In fact, I was a different business group and I was telling what I did and how I helped people, and somebody raised his hand. No, he didn't raise his hand. Somebody blurted out and said, "Well, you have to tell your introverts to be just like me." So he is not somebody that I could ever train because he is just believes that his way is the only way. You speak without being asked to speak. You just blurt out, you volunteer, you say what you think. But if there is somebody who wants to help the introverts in their group to feel more safe in answering questions, pause longer than it feels natural for an extrovert to.
Mhm.
And when somebody looks like they're going to start talking, even if you're talking, look at them and say, "Oh, did you have something to say?"
Mhm.
You have to be overt like that. You have to, as an extrovert, you have to say to the introvert, "It looks like you have something to say. It looks like you're thinking about something that you'd like to share."
Yeah. Kind of giving that invitation, it sounds like. Letting
Ex-
them know I am interested in what you have to say and, here's the floor to be able to do so.
Mhm.
That's really amazing. And with the work that you do, like, are there certain like types of people that come to work with you? Like, we have like the introvert piece, but any other ways that people kind of connect, or like there's themes of certain things that people do that this type of person more than most likely might be an introvert of sorts.
Hmm. Some researchers say that 50% of the population are introverts, which means that introverts are everywhere. We, as I'm an introvert, we tend to be master of our little world. So if you're a teacher, you're a master of your classroom and you are not reserved and shy and quiet, you are taking charge of your classroom. If you are a computer programmer, well, then you are master of your quad, the people that you are with. You can communicate with them, even if it's even if it's not verbally, because that's awkward. You can work with your team and make great strides, make great progress. It's when you have to talk with a parent or talk with a supervisor or present an idea to coworkers outside of your sphere. That's when I just hope that people would recognize that there is a solution and I can help. You don't have to quake in your boots. You don't have to be terrified. Nerves will probably always be there, but being able to prepare a presentation and give it with confidence, sit in the boss's office and answer their questions without
Mhm.
hesitation is possible as an introvert.
Yeah, I think that's really encouraging and inspiring. And I hope that those who are listening and that maybe introverts will take some time to look a bit more into what you have to provide. And we'll have an opportunity to be able to share that information towards the end. But
Right.
so you kind of went from, really like living within what it looks like and means to be an introvert and like networking spaces to being able to like be on panels for conferences, it sounds like. What did it look like to gain the courage, because that's really what it is, like the courage and maybe even the skill to be able to do that? Because talking to like just a couple of people or one person is totally different from speaking in front of like tons of people.
That is so true. Yes. Wow. I think just for me, finding more groups to become a part of.
Okay.
Clubs, social groups, sporting groups. Toastmasters is a speaking club that's very beneficial. And the thing that helped me the most, I joined an improv club.
Okay.
Yes. And improv is like charades, guessing games, storytelling. And every Wednesday when I would drive to the meeting, I'd be terrified. And I'd sit in the way back. And if they called on me, oh, I'd go up and I'd play the game. And then driving home, I'd be so happy, so
Yeah.
excited, thinking about what I said, what I could say different next time, and just going again and again when it was uncomfortable. Eventually, it's not uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm in leadership for my improv club. And now I teach improv at the senior center. So, yes, and I use improv in my coaching because that is the best way to be able to confidently speak with clarity.
And was there any certain point, like in this journey of finding a way to with more people, speak in front of crowds, that you went from that space and teaching to coaching, or kind of how did that happen in that timeline?
Well, I think it's still a work in progress. It's
Okay.
still my coaching is smaller than my speaking.
Mhm.
Speaking is one to many.
Yeah.
Coaching is one-on-one.
Hmm.
Speaking is once in a while, and coaching is a regular
Yeah.
occurrence. So they're two different things with two different outcomes. I mean,
Hmm.
right? If you're working with a single person and they have an assignment to do that week, and then you know that you're going to meet up the following week and there's accountability,
Yeah. You get to really see that growth that that person has.
right? Which is
It's
so great.
commitment too, for sure.
Yes. And that's harder for people to do.
Right, right. So, just to kind of be able to share about your coaching business, if someone is interested in joining your programs, what can they find? What can they learn about?
I have several free PDFs, guides. In fact, I just finished one now. How to, oh, let me get the title right. Yikes. Just finished it this very day. How
Oh,
to
wow.
how to enjoy holiday gatherings as an introvert.
Oh, that's a really good one. This is great timing for that too.
You have your Christmas tree there.
Yeah.
Everyone knows it's crazy. It's holiday time because quiet people love their family, love their friends, but sometimes it's just too much. And so I give 3 tips on how to holiday with relatives and still enjoy yourselves without
Right,
having to expend all your energy and then be just a blob because you have to rest.
right, right. So,
So I have those and the inner critic. Introverts have this inner critic saying, "Oh, no one wants to hear what you have to say. That's not a good idea. You can't say that very well." Your inner critic is a big part of one of the free products that I have, and now I'm green. My background's gone. And then I have an online course and then a membership club. It's my speaking game club, and that is improv for introverts. And we meet on Zoom and
wow,
we play improv games with the goal of gaining the skills and confidence to speak up when it's unexpected situations. And it's fun. The goal is to laugh too.
that sounds really amazing. It sounds like all the things that you have to provide are really accessible, which is great because sometimes the information that people really need is like behind a paywall before they get to kind of dip their foot in to then make that full investment and doing that one-to-one work with you. So I'm really glad that you provide that opportunity.
Well, thank you, Shania.
Of course, of course. And if there's one thing that you hope that listeners can take away from what you shared today, what would that be?
You are valuable. You can speak up.
And is there, just to maybe give a little tidbit, one tip that you would give from each of your secrets that you've had?
The first secret would be answer off the top of your head. Stop the self critic, stop the self doubt, and just say it. But I do train people how to not blurt hurtful things.
Just anything, right? Yeah. I think about it a little bit, but not too much.
Exactly. And the second secret is how to balance conversations. We talked a lot about that, how
Yeah.
conversation is a game and it goes back and forth. So there's awarenesses to have to be able to. So, what can I give right now? Oh, okay. Don't use vague pronoun references in your conversations. They put that over there.
Mm.
What does that mean? That's too vague. Grandma put the cat in the garage. Mark put the muffins in the meeting room. They put that over there is too vague. So don't use vague pronoun references. It makes your conversation more clear.
Yeah.
And then the third secret has to do with prepared presentations, the rule of 3. Give your intro, give your 3 points, and then give your conclusion.
Mhm.
Because most people, they can't remember more than 3 things that you have to say.
That's true.
So even if somebody asks for some advice, think of those three things. Like if I asked you, Shania, where is someplace I should go on vacation? You would say, well, where you should go on vacation, 3 reasons, and then summarize. And that's why you should go to wherever on vacation.
I think that's really good, and also a really great way to maybe formalize something that you might want to say. Because I could see if someone has a fear of like saying too much or like rambling, and they might be like going on and on and on. And that's a
Mm,
really great way to like formulate what they want to say.
exactly. Rambling on and on and on. We don't want to do that.
So, on this podcast, every time that we have a new guest, we have whoever's on the show to leave a question for the next person that joins us. So, what would that question be to our listeners and our next guest?
Are you comfortable spontaneously answering unexpected questions?
Hmm, that's a good one. That's a good one. And the previous person that was on the show was actually a medium. So their question is a little bit deeper. So if you're comfortable, please feel free to share what you have. If not, that's totally okay. I can maybe think of another question. But their question is, if God was in front of you, what would you really ask him?
Oh, we have world peace, please.
Mm, yes, yes.
But I mean, we're human, so I don't know that that's possible. But
Right.
oh, I wish we could just get along. I wish we could just get along.
Right. That would be amazing to have. And maybe with, some of the tips that you have and people being able to, like extroverts lean back a bit, introverts move in a bit more, we can find some more connection and understanding between each other as people and human beings and as all part of humanity in the community we're in.
What a beautiful thought.
Thank you. Thank you. Any last things that you would like to share with listeners today, Tanya?
I think that everyone, even introverts, can speak up when it's important, but they don't have to speak up all the time. But we can gain the skills and confidence to speak up when it matters.
Yes, beautiful. I want to thank you so much for coming on to the show today. How can our listeners get connected with you and find out more about what you have to provide?
So my company is Joy Lab. My middle name is Joy, and Joy seems to be my default. So Joy Lab is my company.
Yes, well fitting.
And social media is Speak Up with Tanya. And I'm also on LinkedIn, Tanya Lehman.
Perfect. I will make sure that everything is linked in our show notes. And I want to say thank you to everyone who has tuned into today's episode. As always, we look forward to any conversations that are had on our YouTube and other locations. And please check out our reading list. We will have Tanya's free guides linked there for anyone that wants to check that out, but also in the show notes too. And as always, until next time, be well. Thanks for joining me at the Listening Well. If you have a story, a secret you've never shared, or a question you'd like advice on, or just something that you would like to share with somebody else, you can send it in anonymously if you wish at the email thelisteningwell25@gmail.com. Every story matters here, and I can't wait to hear yours. Until next time, keep listening and sharing.